Most of us see this image of Ganapathi, the elephant-headed deity, and we instantly recognize it. But what if I told you this familiar shape isn't just an object of worship? What if it's actually a secret, highly detailed map? A map to a powerful system that's hidden inside your very own body. So let's decode it together.
So that brings us to the big question. Who is Ganapathi really? I mean, beyond all the mythology, beyond the stories we grew up with, what does this symbol actually represent? Well, according to yogic science, the answer is something incredibly personal, and believe it or not, it's inside every single one of us.
When you get right down to it, the form of Ganapathi is a symbolic guide to a subtle yogic process. Just think of it like a visual blueprint of the primary energy channel that basically runs your entire inner world.
Okay, so to understand this map, we have to start with the most obvious part, right? The trunk. But this isn't just an elephant's trunk. In the language of yogic symbolism, it represents something absolutely vital to our internal energy system. And that vital channel is called the Sushumna Nadi. The Sushumna is like the main superhighway for energy in your subtle body, and it runs right along your spine. Now here's the clue that just connects everything perfectly. In Tamil, one of its names is Surundamunai, which literally means the curled tip. I mean, come on, that is a perfect description of Ganapathi's trunk. So, how does this energy superhighway actually work? Well, it's basically a four-step process. First, the soul sends out energy. That energy is received by the life force. Then the life force passes it to the Sushumna Nadi. And this, right here, is the most critical step, because the Sushumna acts like this brilliant sorting mechanism, refining the energy before it finally sends it on to the master gland to distribute throughout the body. And this is where it gets really cool, because you can actually see the sorting process. If the energy is what's known as heat energy, the Sushumna, symbolized by the trunk, curves to the left. But if it's magnetic energy, it curves to the right. So the direction of the trunk in any statue or picture is actually a hidden code telling us exactly how this central channel is managing our internal energy at that moment. Okay, now that you've got the basics down, let's go a level deeper. We're going to look at a much more advanced idea, a secret technique that's known to very experienced yogis as Uchishta Ganapathi. Now, this is where the symbolism gets just incredibly clever. The word Uchishta literally means leftover or saliva-tainted food. It sounds a little strange, right? But in yogic circles, it's a code word. It's actually referring to a physical act in a practice called Kechari Yoga, where the yogi's tongue touches the upper palate, which is exactly where saliva pools. This advanced technique has to be performed in the quiet hours just before dawn. Why? Because that's a time when the life force is believed to be in its purest, most neutral state, a state the Siddhas call Nirmala Devi. And the whole point of the practice is to use that specific moment to create a direct, unfiltered connection between the Sushumna Nadi and that pure life force. The source material gives us this perfect analogy. Think about it. When an elephant wants a piece of fruit that's way up high in a tree, what does it do? It stretches its trunk straight up. It's not curving left for heat energy or right for magnetic energy. Nope, it's going straight for the goal. And that is the state of the Sushumna Nadi during this technique, fully extended, totally direct, and aimed right at the divine. And listen, this is definitely not a beginner's practice. We're told that this level of control and connection is really only accessible to yogis who have dedicated at least 12 years to their path, with this single-minded goal of uniting with the divine. It's really a testament to incredible focus and dedication. So now that we have this key, this understanding of the Sushumna, let's go back and revisit some of those famous myths. You're about to see how this one yogic key completely unlocks their hidden meaning, turning them from simple stories into really profound teachings. You probably know this story. There's a race around the universe for the divine fruit of knowledge. And while his brother Kartikeya is flying around the cosmos, Ganapathi just calmly circles his parents and wins. So what's the yogic interpretation of that? Well, Ganapathi is the Sushumna Nadi, which, remember, is stationary right along the spine. It doesn't need to go anywhere. From its fixed position, it can simply extend its influence, just like that trunk, to get the ultimate prize without moving an inch. Okay, here's another great story. The sage of Vayar is rushing to reach Kailasa, the divine abode.
and Ganapathi just scoops her up with his trunk and places her there in an instant. A miracle, right?
Well, this story isn't about some external miracle. It's a symbol for Avyar mastering this very same yogic technique herself. The story of Ganapathi lifting her is just a metaphor for her extending her own Sushmana Nadi, her own internal trunk, to elevate her consciousness to the highest possible state, the state we call Kailasa.
And let's look at one final story, the marriage of Murugan to Vali. In this tale, Murugan actually needs Ganapathi's help to finally be able to unite with his love, Vali. This one maps perfectly onto our internal system. Murugan represents the master pituitary gland. Vali, whose name is a variation of Valai, represents the life force itself. And the lesson here is so profound. Even the master gland Murugan can't connect directly with the pure life force, Vali. It needs that essential bridge. And that bridge is the Sushumna Nadi, which is, of course, Ganapathi.
So when you put it all together, this entire symbolic system is pointing us toward a power that already exists inside every one of us, this fundamental connection to our own life force.
And this life force, which yogis say is located between the eyebrows, has been called so many different names across all the traditions. Valai, Shakti, Nahtam, Bala, Manumani. Some traditions even call it the single atom. But every single one of those names is pointing to the exact same singular, essential energy source inside of you. So the next time you see an image of Ganapathi, maybe you'll see it a little differently. Not just as a deity, but as a detailed instruction manual, a profound guide to an incredible internal potential that can be unlocked through focus, dedication, and practice.
And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a symbol this common can hold such a deep and complex secret, then what other profound truths are hiding all around us, right in plain sight, just waiting for us to decode them?